Hi, my name is Mara Powers, and this is my Growth Goal Survey Analysis Reflection. As I believe I noted previously when talking about my self-assessment and touching a little bit on the student surveys given, a glaring area of needed improvement that was noted across many areas was student involvement. I enjoy a certain amount of control over my classroom and my processes, and apparently find it challenging to share that control with my students. Logically, I understand that choice is highly motivating for them and also provides a level of ownership over their learning environment and just their general learning that leads to an increase in productivity and desirable behaviors. Though to give that choice and ask for that input level, the level of input for the students requires me to give up a certain amount of control and therefore comfort. So this was a little frightening for me until I did it. It went well, and the results really spoke for themselves. In the pre-survey, none of my students felt that I gave them input on establishing the rules and procedures of the classroom. That was true, I had not. I did everything else, only used a small set of rules and procedures, explained the rules and procedures explicitly, modeled them, modified them, reviewed them, posted them, so on, but never generated them by spending time designing and discussing them with students. When we started our next group project, I addressed this and provided for an opportunity for the group to come up with their own set of rules and procedures that would benefit the mission and purpose of the group. They all had input on general rules that should govern group projects and group discussion. I noticed immediately a much stricter adherence to the rules that they'd decided upon together, and also a more supportive tone when undesirable behaviors were being corrected and desirable behaviors being reinforced by peers. Similarly, I had not agree or strongly agree on any of my pre-survey student scores when addressing student creation of assessments. I previously allowed for no choice in this area. I occasionally allowed for choice in the activity, but not in the assessment of the learning experience. Again, I took the first opportunity that I could to address this with the students, totally calling myself out on the lack of opportunities that I had given them to choose their own assessments, and wrote that into our next project that we began. Students participated in a writing unit, which they all had a common goal and were working on the same standard, but were able to show their learning in a variety of ways. It was a bit challenging for me to organize at first, as it required multiple examples, guided writing lessons, checklists, rubrics, dependent on the format that they had chose, so a little bit of extra work on the front end. When the students had all finished their writing project and it was time for them to share, the results of that increased choice and ownership was notable and made the extra preparation on my part worth every moment. Students expressed being more motivated and excited about the project because they got to choose their method. In examining the responses concerning the structuring of my practice sessions, I found an inconsistency in the rate in which I move on from activities and the level of difficulty or challenge that I present to my students. These issues were also brought to my attention through student pre-surveys. I wanted to make sure that I'm allowing enough time for practicing skills and knowledge use while still maintaining a rigorous and lively pace with my curriculum and activities. Achieving fluency when working with students with learning and working memory problems can seem repetitive and has the potential to cause students to lose interest if done incorrectly. I took steps to offer an increased amount of variety in activities and projects that addressed targeted skills or content knowledge. So same skill or content knowledge, many different choices and variety as far as the activities or steps or processes taken to complete or hit those target learning goals. This change up of context and process helped the students feel that they were getting to do new and interesting things, while I was able to continue to reinforce skills or concepts that weren't yet mastered. I offered choices and activities and methods of learning that would still meet our learning target purposes, and implemented a student rating scale asking them if they felt ready to move on, and if not, how I could help them further. I also want to make sure that I'm giving them the support that they need without hovering or hand-holding more than necessary, so that proper level of scaffolding. This was tricky as I'm pretty accustomed to close monitoring and may tend to jump in and correct a little bit too soon, not giving my students the opportunity to struggle a little bit, learning those important problem-solving strategies that they need to acquire. I increased my frequency of think-alouds and upped my modeling a bit, walking them through the steps and processes involved with the skills and strategies we were working on. I believe that this strategy, along with more intentional guided practice plans, contributed greatly to my students' learning, as well as their understanding of how and why they're learning and how their current learning is connected to past and future learning. They seem to have a higher level of metacognition and ability to articulate what is happening during our structured practice sessions, making it much more clear to me what they've mastered, what we can expand on, and where their needs still are in regards to the learning goal. My students greatly appreciated and enjoyed the survey process. I work with students, many early middle school students who just love to have their opinions asked about anything. The level of interaction they had with the whole process was really good for them and for me. They're fully aware of my HRT program, why I'm doing it, and how much they're helping. It makes them feel heard and respected as people and valuable involved members of our school community.